Hey there, this is Ed Beard again with the Employer's Edge, and in our series on looking under the hood hiring, we're going to explore the scale of reasoning ability. Reasoning ability is most commonly thought of how quickly someone processes information and how good a problem solver are they. And it's very critical to the role because high is not necessarily better on the actual scale of reasoning ability. So we're going to dive into that here a little bit too. But the reason you want to look under the hood to see what it is you're really getting is so that you're not making your hiring decision based on this nice, shiny, newly waxed exterior with nice, shiny rims and that sounds really good. You want to pop the hood, look underneath there, hook some assessments up to it, and really do a diagnostic on who it is that you're looking to hire right here so that you make a wonderful hiring decision. Now, let's just take a sidestep here and note, on a good normative assessment that measures either reasoning ability or learning index, just know that if the candidate can actually Google the answer to that, you got to be careful you're not getting an artificially inflated version of them. Meaning they actually went into Siri and they said, hey Siri, what is the square root of x squared plus 2 divided by 5? And then Siri tells them and they write down the answer, and it really looks like they kind of knew how to do that when in fact they had to Siri it and they didn't know how to do that. Or they say, hey Siri, what is the, give me a synonym for serendipitous, and Siri tells them, and so they write down that particular answer. You got to be really careful that you're using assessments that people cannot Google the answer on or Siri the answer on, so that you get the actual, you know, who are they, not an inflated version of who are they, because they use Google or Siri to help them out. Also, right up front, let's also disband the nomer that higher is better on their reasoning ability score, and that to be a leader in an organization at any level, you have to be really high on your reasoning ability, and that's just not true. We see really good, solid, effective leaders all over the board on the scale of reasoning ability. Because folks that are high, they tend to process information very quickly. They make decisions often very quickly because they're very astute at processing information in order to do that. Folks on the left side, they can be very adept at building solid teams that help them make decisions. We've seen some really wonderful leaders with a score of 3 or 4 on their reasoning ability, because they're just really good at engaging people, inspiring people, and motivating entire teams to move forward. And they are powerhouse leaders, although they themselves take a little bit of time to process information. So higher is not better on this scale. Higher is not better in a leadership role. We see it all over the board. It's all about the job fit. An engineer or a scientist, when we assess them, it's just often common we get very high reasoning ability scores. That doesn't mean the leader of the engineers or the leader of the scientists has to be high on their reasoning ability score. In fact, it often works in their detriment, and I'm going to tell you why here in a little bit. So know what you're hiring for. Know what reasoning success pattern you're looking for in a particular role, so that you specifically hire to a known success pattern, so that you hire the right people and you actually get what you want, and you're not turning people over here in 6 months to a year thinking, how did we miss that? Okay? All right, so let's dive into a little bit on the pros and cons of being high or low on your reasoning ability. Folks that are high have an innate ability to quickly process information. And they just plow through information so quickly. One of the problems with that is they don't always understand, it's not obvious to them, how someone who is on the lower side of this scale actually thinks. And they tend to, if you ever ask someone who's really, might want to say it, really smart or really quick at processing information, if you ever ask them, hey, is it better to take 5 minutes to do something, or to take 20 minutes to explain that same thing to someone else so they can do it? And they'll 100% of the time raise their hand and say, no, I just want to do it in 5 minutes. It's more efficient, it's faster, and we just get it done. The problem is that high reasoning ability people or leaders don't delegate because it's not efficient, and they're known for not developing people and developing teams. So that is their particular learning, is to delegate, even though it's stuck in their craw. It's faster to do it. I get it. I know it. But the goal is to develop other people, and you have to delegate tasks and responsibilities to other people in order to get them to do that. Folks on the left side or on the lower side of reasoning ability, it's not uncommon for them to take too long to make a decision, especially if they're also a little bit lower on their decisive score. That particular leader can miss opportunities if they're not careful. So they have to put their trust in other people to really get the information that is necessary to make qualified decisions, and really trust these people, and really make sure that teams are operating at their best function, because that you got to rely on that team to process information for you so that solid decisions can be made. But the beauty of the folks that are on the left side of the decision-making platform is that they do tend to delegate because they really don't have a choice to delegate a lot of things. But just know the leader of the scientist does not have to be the smartest or the sharpest tool in the shed. They got teams of people who can do stuff like that. Their job is to lead now, not to be the best technician out of all technicians. One of the problems that we commonly run into with folks that are high on their reasoning ability scale is that they process information, such vast quantities of detail, so quickly that they have a dying need to be right. Unfortunately, a lot of times they actually are right, but is the goal to be right or to get someone else to do something? In sales roles, we notice that high reasoning ability salespeople tend to compete with customers for who is right, and that can often unsell the product or service that you're looking for. So don't think for a second that higher reasoning ability is a good thing to be in a salesperson. If you have salespeople that are, you might say, really sharp, their learning is to dial it back, sell to the degree that you need to sell a client a customer service so that you can move on with helping them solve their problems. But the goal is not to be right. So often we just want to be right, and that's not really going to advance leadership or advance the purpose that you're after. So you really need to take a good solid look at reasoning ability, so you look under the hood and you have a solid indicator of what it is you're about to hire, because it's going to show up here pretty quickly after you hire someone. This is Ed Beard again with the Employer's Edge. If you need any more explanation on that, just give us a shout here at the Employer's Edge. And I hope this video on measuring or understanding reasoning ability helped you make a better hiring decision.